What does Charlotte's growing homelessness problem have to do with President Donald Trump and the Republican National Convention? We'll tell you shortly. Charlotte's seeing more homeless people than ever before, and CMPD says while it tries to show empathy, they have to do their jobs.
I have to weigh the other side as well, the order of law.
Central Division Community Coordinator Russ Falkenberry patrols the homeless community daily. So what's he seeing? Well, while Fox 46 was interviewing him, someone complained that homeless people have repeatedly been using this fountain as a toilet.
Sometimes use the restroom, I go to the bathroom in the fountain in the water.
That's a crime, and so is littering. But this fountain is filled with trash.
Folks will sleep in here and then they'll leave their trash. It ends up in the fountain.
On top of that, panhandling, which can be illegal, is something police try to stop. Many in Uptown avoid giving money.
I'm a little leery of it, but I at least try to smile to help someone's day.
But try to acknowledge the person in some way.
You know, if somebody wants to talk to me, I'm going to talk back to them.
CMPD encourages people not to directly give money.
It's probably going to go to feed an addiction.
Instead, giving to organizations working with those without a home.
They are humans too.
That's where Michael Massey comes in.
You have ID or anything like that? You do?
He's a community ambassador with Center City Partners. His team walks the streets to connect the homeless to resources.
We also link them with the different social service agencies.
As Fox 46 was watching, he was getting results.
I'm gonna have her come down here in about 30 minutes, and then she can talk to you a little bit more and get you signed up, okay?
Getting this man on track for services. But with a record amount of homeless people in the Queen City, what's happening when the Republican National Convention takes over Uptown in 2020?
Obviously, when you have a large-scale event like that with the Republican National Convention, you're going to have the sitting president who's going to attend. There become a lot of security issues and areas of downtown that have to be cleared because of security.
Randall Hitt with the Urban Ministry Center and Men's Shelter says shelters are already over capacity.
So that's beginning to be looked at, and how would the shelters play a role in making sure that there are places for those folks to go, even if we're at capacity.
Back in September, a homeless man, Marcus Bradley, allegedly stabbed and killed another homeless man, Mark Jameson. But CMPD says while violent crimes by the homeless happen, they're rarely committed against the non-homeless. Still, when it comes to growing concerns of homelessness, police try to strike a balance between compassion and enforcing the law.
What that person needs is help.
CMPD does not keep track of crimes committed specifically by homeless people. Now, the RNC was last hosted in Cleveland, Ohio. I reached out to its mayor's office and asked what did they specifically do to control their homeless population around the convention. They tell me they didn't do anything. Now, on Tuesday night on Fox 46 News at 10, I hit the streets with a homeless man who lives in the woods and makes his money by panhandling. Swatting bugs.
Bugs getting you?
Yeah, mosquito.
It comes with the territory of living in the woods.
Found that right there, just laying right here.
Ronald Painter is homeless, but his story didn't start here.
I really didn't have a childhood.
Why was that?
I try not to remember. My mom was a drunk.
What was your father like?
He's a drunk too.
The 39-year-old says he was led to drugs at a young age. He says he's clean now, but mental health issues and job instability keep him on the streets.
A lot of walking.
The Pittsburgh native's been in Charlotte for about a year. Fox 46 walked with him 3 miles, his daily routine, to where he panhandles for enough cash to get him through the day.
Thank you, man. God bless you. You too.
Panhandling is all across Charlotte.
There goes that guy I was telling you about right there.
Painter points to one panhandler who he says isn't homeless.
He has homeless on his sign.
Oh, yeah, that's him. Gotcha.
And I told him to put just need help on your sign.
Here's another who he says is addicted to drugs. It's a common theme.
We encourage everyone to say no.
CMPD says panhandling is allowed unless the person being asked for money gives a negative response and the panhandler continues to ask. It's also illegal for people to panhandle at night with verbal communication. It's also illegal for people to panhandle within 20 feet of an ATM, dining area, or transit stop. Records show the 39-year-old hasn't been charged with any sort of crime while in Charlotte.
I got in trouble whenever I was younger, and my family just disowned me.
But he understands poor choices led him here. Sometimes people give him food, Other times,
Thank you, God bless.
a cigarette.
Hey, that bum will smoke like you.
For what it's worth, he says he's trying to find construction work.
I just need somebody just to give me just one break, to give me a job.
But until then, you'll see him off Statesville Road, where one of his panhandling peers already has a tent set up. And just a few miles away, he returns to his tent in the woods with just enough cash to buy a meal and maybe a pack of cigarettes. But while Painter asks for money, he doesn't expect it.
Thank you, God bless you.
He says all he really asks is for people to acknowledge him.
We're just another human being just like you are. Everybody's just down on their luck.
Walk across uptown Charlotte. You might not want to look, but if you do, you can't miss homeless people asking for help.
It takes your breath away.
But how often do we look into their eyes, listen to their stories? Fox 46 is finding people sleeping on benches. We're even finding tent communities where people lay their heads. It's safe to say Charlotte's experiencing a crisis.
It's a bit of an epidemic, yes.
24-year-old Christopher admits he's partially on the streets due to a drinking problem, but says overall, it's never just one thing.
Sometimes people don't have a safety net. They don't have a second option.
He moved to Charlotte last year with a now ex-girlfriend.
It's become favored here. I'm not sure why.
He says with or without a home, people are coming to town.
The weather and the economy.
What you see today can also be you tomorrow or the next day as someone else.
20-year-old Antonio came to Charlotte from New Jersey to be with his father, but his father, the shorter one of these three, lost his home, and now they're living in a tent. Tent communities are common near Uptown. Antonio says not everyone on the street fits stereotypes.
Suit and ties throughout the week, going to work, but at night, a cardboard box on the ground.
Newly released numbers show there are roughly 2,106 homeless people in Mecklenburg County. Nearly a quarter of them are families.
They love your sandwiches.
And that's what brings us to this local fast food restaurant.
Okay. All right, good.
Where County Commissioner Pat Cotham is getting results.
All right, bye. Be careful now.
Cotham spends much of her time taking care of the homeless community along the city's streets.
Oh, you got blankets?
Oh, yeah.
May I have one? My friend have one too?
Sure. Oh, I'm so glad.
She learns their names.
What's your name?
Chevy.
Hey, Chevy.
And even nicknames.
Okay, bye a little bit. I'll see you again. I'm out here a lot.
They'll talk politics.
I remember when Nixon got impeached.
Yeah. And sometimes they'll share a few dance moves.
Oh.
Really, it's more than feeding them.
Oh, look at this, another one.
It's about humanizing them.
Okay, what's your name?
My name is Beijing.
Beijing.
Yeah, like Beijing, China?
Yeah, like Beijing, China.
Nice
Okay. All right. Oh, sure. Everybody, I think, is one crisis away from being on the street.
The simple answer is housing.
Randall Hitt is with the Urban Ministry Center as well as the men's shelter, where even with 430 beds, they're consistently over capacity and turning people away. But he's not asking for more beds. He's asking for affordable housing.
When you look at the average rent that is around $1,100, that is just very hard to find.
Mecklenburg County says there are 27,000 missing housing units for people making the lowest income. Adding 80,000 people are living with housing instability, meaning they're one missed paycheck away from homelessness.
In many respects, that's pushing people into a state of homelessness. And then for those people who are experiencing homelessness, it's taking them so much longer to get out that they're slipping into what we would consider chronic homelessness.
It's basically like fighting for your life out here. Every day is a struggle, is a fight for your life.
Christopher says home is where the heart is, but make no mistake, his current home is a rough place to be.
I was here since last winter, so I've never been homeless during a winter ever, so it was brutal. It was brutal for me.
And while he'd like assistance, he understands part of the solution starts with him. Still, all he's asking, like so many others, is to look them in their eyes and understand their pain.
We don't really have design or intention to hurt anybody. We're just going through a lot of stuff.
From here on out, Mecklenburg County officials will be updating the homeless count every month. Reporting live in the newsroom, David Centendry, Fox 46, Charlotte.